as well as I do that Facebook groups are extremely popular in the music world. And, this all probably started back in like 2012. And we had things like Piano Teacher Central popping up and, Piano Teacher Fun Makers. Oh, I miss that group. There are so many different groups that are around that are really useful. And today, what I thought I would do is I'm going to share some really savvy tips to help you use your groups better. So, whether you are somebody who has a group and you're adminning a group, or if you're somebody who uses groups to get information and to connect with your colleagues, then I've got good tips for you. And we're going to do some behind the scenes stuff here right now because apparently this week there's something up with the Facebook API and we were not able to get our link up and running for those who were in the email. So we're just updating that link. Okay, I think we're updated. Okay, so what I'd love to know, if you're watching this live or if you're watching this on the replay, I would love to know how you use Facebook groups inside of your business. Are you a member of a bunch of different groups? Are you a member of like free groups or like subscription groups? And are you an admin of a group? Are you using Facebook group as a marketing tool and a connection tool inside of your business? So give us that information down below. And what we're going to do today is we're going to go through 4 specific tips that you can use in order to make your groups more effective. Now, you can do this if you're an admin, and some of these tips you can do if you are just a user inside of a group, or maybe you might suggest that to the admin of the group if you see a good way to get the group organized. And we're going to be doing some screen sharing because I use Facebook groups for right now for a bunch of different things. And over the years, I've learned a lot of techniques to make groups super organized and actually to create courses inside of groups. So I'm going to do some screen sharing and I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to show you the inside of Branding Bootcamp, and I'm going to show you how we build this out. And it's really, really cool. So I'm very excited to show this all with you today. So we're going to get to that in just a moment. But before we do, let's play a little intro music. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is I want to have a little conversation with you guys about how or why you might want to use Facebook groups. And I'm going to start it with being very, very honest. So years ago, there was this big movement, and some of you probably remember this. There was this big movement for everybody to start a group. And that was back when the algorithm was a bit different. And the way that it worked is that those posts inside of the group would show up in our notifications. They would show up on the news feed. So a lot of what we were seeing in the news feed was content from the groups that we were in. And then they shifted things because what had happened is that marketers were abusing the way they were using groups, and they were using groups as selling platforms only. This was back in the day. You all probably remember a lot of LuLaRoe groups popping up there and tons of leggings all over your news feed. Because of this, they shift, because there were so many different businesses that were using groups in order to sell, they shifted the algorithm. And so what that meant is in our industry, a lot of music teachers had actually taken Facebook groups and turned them into a way to communicate with their studios, which when the algorithm showed you all the posts actually worked really well if your clients were on Facebook. But nowadays, it's not as effective. So if you're one of those teachers who's been using Facebook groups, and let me be specific, groups and pages are different. Like your business page is that public-facing account where you can make posts and they'll go across everybody's newsfeed who has followed you or liked you, etc. Whereas a group is something that's private. And oftentimes people use those two terms interchangeably and they're completely different parts of the platform, right? And so What happened over time is that teachers who were trying to use Facebook groups as a way to communicate with their studios found that it was less effective, right? Because people weren't seeing it. So I'm going to be talking about some tips, like if you are using a Facebook group for your business, I'm going to talk about some tips that will help you get more eyes on your content inside of your group. Will help you organize your content, and will help you like show up better inside of your group. But I want to preface this by also saying you do not need a Facebook group for your studio. This is not a call to action telling people to start a Facebook group. I actually do not think that Facebook groups are the best way to run your business. They can be a good way to connect with the right people if you're really strategic about it, but don't think that this is me going, everybody should start a Facebook group. No. Okay, I see like Elizabeth is saying, I'm a member of a few groups, and I'm currently admin for my home church's book club group. Oh, that's a great use for a group. I love that. Hey, Emily Witz over on Instagram. I see Miss Vicky and maybe Brandon. Nice to see you. Wave if you're still watching. I see Cassandra says she's in groups, but I haven't created a group. I only have a Facebook page. Hey, 2 thumbs up to that, Cassandra. You don't need to have a group, but here are some interesting ways to use them. And Beth says that she is from Indiana. She's developing her Facebook and Instagram presence. She has pictures, working on the copy. And I'm a member of many groups. I could tell some stories about college parent groups. Yowza, yeah. Hey there, Vicky. Hi there, Grace. Okay, so we're going to go through these 4 things today. Let's get into the tips. I have set up the Savvy Sara bot. Fingers crossed that she's working today. And if you do want to get a hold of those tips via Messenger, if you put the word tip down below, I should probably change it so that it also accepts tips because, that could be useful. So we're going to put that in there right now. If you put the word tip down below, the Savvy Sara bot will reach out to you and you'll be able to get a hold of the information that we're talking about today. You know what? I'll put tips in there later. We'll do it right now. All the behind the scenes stuff, right? Okay, I see like Karen saying I'm in a few groups, but I have a Facebook business page. Okay, great. Brandon popped over to you Facebook because that's where all the things are happening today. All right, so we're going to let me edit this real fast. That's the wrong edit. It's very hard to do this because I have all these overlays on the screen and it's like, what? Where is everything? Okay, so we'll add that just in case because I know. Tips. All right, save. All right, for those of you who are watching on YouTube, I will grab a link for you and I'll make sure to pop it into the chat. Our Savvy Sara bot does not work over on that place. So you'll need a special link. So I'm going to give that to you in just a moment. So let's go through these tips today. We've got a lot of cool things to share. All right, so we'll grab the YouTubers and then we're ready to go. Hey, Cindy Lou Miller and hey, Lynn. Nice to see you both. Cindy Lou, great topic, wonderful truth sharing. Yes, thank you, Cindy. I like to be really transparent around the way that I encourage teachers to use or not use things. Because I don't want to say like that this one specific thing is going to be perfect for your platform. And I don't think that Facebook groups is necessarily a good thing to start nowadays, unless you're being very strategic about it and you have a very clear goal in mind for using your group, right? And okay, so if you are thinking about doing something like that, I think that today's going to be useful to you. Okay, so here we go. Let's go into some of the tips to use your group well. Now, you probably know this tip here, but I thought I would start with one that's a little easy and familiar. The first tip is to use featured posts for important information. So at the top of groups, we have the ability to essentially pin posts in the featured section, and you can actually have multiple posts there, which is lovely because back in the day, we didn't have that opportunity. We were only able to get like one post pinned at the top. So what I like to do with featured posts, and I'm going to show you how I'm using them in a moment, is I like to make sure that the most pertinent information, like the information that needs to be out in front of people first, is inside of that section. So in order to do that, I'm just going to, let me flip what we're doing here. No, oh, that's not the one. There we go. We're going to use this one. And I'm going to do a little screen sharing. So let me bring up all of the things. And I actually need to make this a little smaller so I can see what I'm doing. Again, there's just too many things going on behind the scenes here. All right, so here we go. So we're going to do a little screen share into the Savvy Music Studio. Let me come back to unlock. There you go. Here we are. Okay, so now you should be able to see my screen here. So this is one of the groups that I run, and this is the social media course that I've created. And inside, when you're first inside of the group, we have this featured section, right? And these featured posts, I try to make sure that they're the most relevant pieces of information. So, you know, there were big changes that were rolled out to Facebook in the past and in the recent past. And so what I decided to put in the featured section was, you know, here's this workshop that we did that shows you how to use all the things. You know, there's a post here that happened when people were first being rolled in and kind of getting freaked out. So I had a don't freak out post. And then I have this video is an older video, but it's actually a navigation video that shows people how to use the group. Okay. Another thing that I've decided to pin there is having a way to get feedback about the group. So I have a feedback post here that when you open this up, it encourages people to go over to a Google form where they can give me feedback and testimonials about the course. So there's all kinds of posts that you can put here in the featured, right? And this also will show what the rules are inside of your group if you've set rules. Now, I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty of like how to do that thing because that's just not quite the focus of today. But having, a featured post can be really, really nice. And the way that you do this, shout out to Mary because she did some amazing things the other day. The way you do this is that you find a post that you want to add into featured and you'll click on the three dots. And right here, it will actually say pin to featured. Right now it says unpin from featured. So you'd be able to pop that up into the featured group. So that's one of the ways that that you can, improve what you're doing inside of the group is to use that featured option. Now, here's a little extra tip with featured posts. This is something I see in groups all the time, and it kind of drives me bonkers because I really like to organize information. If you are using featured posts in your group, please be sure to look at those featured posts periodically, like maybe once a quarter, like once every 3 months, and make sure that the featured posts aren't outdated. So there's no reason to have 20 featured posts in a group, and there's like half of the posts are out of date information. So if you are using a Facebook group for your studio, only have the most important and most relevant information at the top of the group, and then get rid of like the Christmas post from 2019. Just saying. All right, so let's keep moving and grooving. If you are enjoying this, or you just like watching me do weird stuff on the screen, give me some hearts and give me some thumbs. And let's get to tip number 2. Tip number 2, this is my favorite. And this is one that not a lot of people know how to use. So I'm going to walk you through how I use this. Facebook groups has this feature called guides. They used to be called learning units. And guides are really, really great. Guides are a great way to organize your information so that you have like a logical order of what people should do when they get into the group. And I've actually built courses out this way. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. Good question, Karen. Bjorn's not here today. Anybody else want Bjorn to show up? Because normally he is like right behind me on the couch. Bjorn! He's off doing cat things. I don't know. He's a teen. Okay. Okay, so we get to guides. So let me show you what we're going to do with guides. So let me give you some examples about why you might want to use it. If you have a group that you're using for your business that it has course-like information, like some type of a step number 1, step number 2, step number 3, then you want to use you can use a guides unit to organize that information so that it's easy for people to find. And then if you are going to do something like that, one thing that you want to do is probably show people how to use them. And so that's something that I'm going to be I'm going to show you that I've done like navigational videos to demonstrate like, here's how you use this. Because as long as you can show one, okay, let me back it up a second. One of the reasons I think people don't use guides is because they feel like people don't use them. Well, that's because it's not quite intuitive. Sometimes it gets lost like in the tabs at the top of the mobile and people just don't realize it's there, or they've never bothered clicking on it. So guides are useful if you can educate people how to use them. So I highly suggest using some type of a screen share or a screen capture recording. I love Loom. If you've never used Loom before, it's free. It's loom.us. And basically what you can do with that is you can record your screen and then it'll have you down in the corner or wherever you want yourself to be. And you can show people how to do things. It's a game changer when it comes to educating parents and clients how to use like software or websites that you use in your business. I use Loom for all the things. And if anybody else loves Loom, let me know because I just think it's amazing. All right, so let's get into that is still not the one I want. That's so funny. Do y'all see like the really old Sarah Campbell Biz Coach logo that pops up there? This is like an old scene. I need to delete it. That's hilarious. Okay, so let's get to how we use guides inside of a group. This is really neat. And scene. Okay, so here you can see we were on the discussion tab. I showed you where the featured post was. You'll notice at the top there's actually like a featured tab. But if you go to guides, what's really neat about this is that you're able to organize all the information that you put inside of the group into these units. So you can see inside of the social media course, I've organized things into like, here's your welcome and navigation. This has all of like, introduce yourself, navigation video. Here's your quick start guide, how to get started. And then another video, how to navigate Facebook units. That one actually needs to be deleted because it's old. And then with each guide, there's a specific topic. And with that, you can title things that you add into the units. And I'm going to show you exactly how you do that in just a second here. But it's just a beautiful way to organize things. So, you can have a unit on, what's your first step in joining this group? Here are 3 things that you can do. If you're, I'm trying to think of some other really good examples here. If you're using this for your music studio, you could have, units on, here are practice tips. Here are, like an area for practice tips or resources that I love. Now, again, I'm not saying that you need one for your studio. I'm just saying if you already have one, then this is a way you can do it. Or if you're part of a group that you feel passionate about and you really like it, like Elizabeth mentioned that she was part of like a church book club. You could organize guides based on some of the conversations that you've had around the books and things like that. So I'm going to pop on over to a different group here to show you how we actually add things into this. So I have an example right here. So we have this post that I just made this morning. It has it has information. It gives people all of the worksheets that we're going to be working on in Branding Bootcamp starting this Friday. So if I want to add this into a unit, first I'm going to copy this because this is going to become my title. And then I am going to click on the 3 dots and then click Add Post to Guide. And then I'm going to choose my downloadable and I'm going to put my title in there, and then I'm going to click save. Now what's happened is that inside the back end here, and this is actually showing up a little bit differently. So inside here, we have like all of these guides down at the bottom. If you look on the left-hand side of the screen, it has guide number 1, guide number 2, etc. Then that's how we can order the information. Now, if you want to create a guide, I'm just going to show one more quick tip here. So I clicked on the guides tab and then I'm going to click create guide. And then I would title the name of the guide. So for unit 2, we would be talking about values and foundations. And I'm going to go ahead and save that. So what's cool about this is that you're actually seeing me do this in like real live action, right? Let me come back to the screen here. There we go. One of the things that I love about doing this is that we actually do this in Branding Bootcamp live. So, rather than you joining a course where all the information is just in there and you have to like go, right? We build the information out as we do the course. So it's a very nice way to keep people focused on the current content and not trying to think ahead. It's a very neat way to keep people focused, right? And I'm going to give you a sneak peek into like what the content looks like inside of Branding Bootcamp now for a moment, and how we organize it. So just to show you how we've got the system in place. So the group that I was just showing you a moment ago was a group that is brand new because we're starting on Friday. We get our first class started there. But here is what it looks like when it's completely finished. So we have our welcome guide here, right? That has all the information about navigating. It has all of our intro posts. We have the download area where we have all the files and links to Google Drive, or Google Docs. And then each and every week has posts that deal with the topic of the week. So we have the video replays of when we get together on Zoom. I save the chat file because oftentimes we put a lot of good information in there. And then we have all of the assignments that go along with the topic of the week. So that's where we ask further questions. That's where people get feedback on the workbooks that they're working on, and so forth. And so this is just a beautiful way, I think, to organize information. And just to show you, like, this is the coolest thing ever. So this is not Facebook. This is Notion. This just gives you an idea of all of the content, the amount of content, and the amount of support that goes into running this course. This is a list of the content that goes inside of the course. And you see my savvy team member, Caitlin, and I built this out, and we have everything organized. We have things scheduled to go into the group, and then we can like make sure that we can check things off, and we make sure that everything is where it needs to be. So it's just a really interesting way to use groups. I don't see a lot of people who do this, but I found that it works really well for me for now, right? In the future, we may use something else. Okay, so let's keep going on. There we have 2 more tips here today. The next tip here, if you are running a group, is to please ask good membership questions, and don't be afraid to turn people away from joining groups if you're running one, or if you're an admin of one or a moderator of one. One of my favorite things, one of the best ways, I think, to create a group that is not going to be full of, let's be honest, asshats, because we know that there are piano groups out there, there are voice groups out there, there are just music groups out there in general where there are a lot of people who are quite mean, right? We have a lot of people that are very judgmental. You know, they jump on people for asking questions. And I don't know about you, but I don't have time for that. I do not have time for people who are cruel, people who are not patient, and people who are just jerks. So if you want to create a group that does not have jerks in it, here's one way that's, helpful. I'm not going to say that it's going to completely change it, but I can tell you, I have run the group called Voice Teachers Community since 2014. And we are a small group. It is intentional that way. I think that a lot of people got into this, like, we need to become the biggest group kind of mentality. And we all know that those groups that have 19,000 people are overwhelming now. So we wanted to keep the group small, and we did it a couple of different ways. One, when we set up questions that people had to answer when they joined the group, and they were specific. It was like, show us that you're a voice teacher. Doesn't matter how. Website, Facebook page, like, whatever information from your universities, show us that you're a voice teacher. We are not going to hunt for information on your profile. 2, to ask people, what are you hoping to gain from this group? That's a very telling question, because oftentimes people will join groups just to advertise their services, and then they don't actually bring any value to the group. That's another pet peeve of mine. Ask them what they are hoping to gain from the group. It gets them thinking about it. And if it's somebody who just wants to show up in your group and sell stuff, they're probably not going to answer that question. And then I'm going to get to that in a second. The third thing is to have a question that says, have you read the group rules? Right? You can add things in there that make people check off like, yes, I do this. Yes, I do this. If any of those questions are blank, consider this permission to deny access to your group. Because, if they're not going to take the time to answer the things correctly, you don't need to have them in your group. I'm on a soapbox. I realize that. I'm feeling a little feisty today, but I hope you all are enjoying it. Okay, so let's keep going. We're going to have one final tip here, and then we'll do a recap here. Okay, the final tip. Oh, I can't get this open. Here we go. Is I found something super cool. And if you are using groups, whether you are an admin of one or you're just a member of one, there's this really neat feature that nobody's talking about. It's just so unique. Thank you, Deb. Hashtag spicy. I'm just gonna tell it how it is today. This is what we're getting. So I found this really neat feature that you can use, it's so funny. During this broadcast, I look for my phone and then I realize it's over there because I'm going live on Instagram. So I can't actually use my phone to show you what I want to show you. But what we can do is you can actually edit your personal profile inside of a group. And you can do this for every group that you're in where you feel like this might be useful. Because and you've probably done this before, when you're looking at content inside of a group and you click on somebody's name, it takes you to the group profile. It doesn't take you to their profile page, right? So I'm going to give an example of this, just so that you're very clear as to what I'm talking about. And we're actually going to use Mary as an example because she's amazing and I think she won't mind. Okay, wait, let's get to... There we go. So I'm inside of the social media course, and if I were to click on Mary's name here, what this opens up in a second, come on, there we go. What this opens up is what they call the group profile. And in the group profile, it has like information about, okay, she's been in the course since 2020, and then it has like all the posts that she's made, right? Now, here's something that's super cool. We can actually edit information right here, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So I'm actually, and here's how you would do it for yourself, and it looks super cool on mobile. I wish I could show you it on mobile, but Instagram, y'all have my phone. So you're going to go to members and click on your own name. And actually, it's just being slow. There we go. If I had gone back a page, you'll notice if you do this on desktop, you can actually click this button that comes up that says edit profile. Now, you're not actually editing the profile of, oh wait, yeah, that is. Never mind. Forget what I said. Click on the button, okay? And right here, so if we click on edit profile, notice what it says at the top. It says, changes you make here will affect how you appear inside of the Social Media Savvy Studio, but not on your main Facebook profile. So here's what I think that you can use it for. It's the bio section. So let's say that you're inside of a group and you're an expert there and you're helping people, this is where you would want to put information that's pertinent to the group. So to say like, I support music studio owners and online education experts to get savvy with their business. I do this through online courses, one-on-one coaching, and weekly broadcasts. Oops. It's too many characters. I need 7. I'm going to get rid of online education experts. Okay, there we go. So, and then I save it. So now when somebody clicks on my name, and it looks way cooler on mobile, when somebody clicks on your name inside of a group, it's going to tell them a little bit about you. And what's neat about this is that you can edit your profile for individual groups, right? So let me come out of this for a second so I'm back here. So let's say, for instance, that you are in like maybe a voice teacher group or a piano teacher group where you want to like tell people what kind of people that you work with, right? Or what you specialize in, or, who you want to connect with. So then you could take, edit that profile to say, I love teaching. I'm passionate about teaching musical theater to teens and adults. Um, you know, I'd love to connect with other teachers who do the same, or things like that. If you are a part of a subscription group where you're adminning or things like that, you can tell people how to, what kind of coaching you provide. What kind, things like that. There's just so many different ways to use those bios, and I just think it's kind of cool. All right, so I think that's going to be it for today. Thank you, Pete. Big takeaway was to edit the group profile. Again, if you want to get a list of these tips, if you pop the word tip down below, then the Savvy Sara bot will be able make sure to send that to you. Before we get to our recap, I do want to say enrollment ends today for Branding Bootcamp. We have one spot left. If you are interested in leaning into what you need to do with your business in 2023 to get you where you want to go, this class is for you. It is a combination of branding and marketing and business foundations, and it has worked marvels over the past 3 years. We've almost had 100 clients go through this course, and I'm so passionate about this course because the way that it has changed lives still surprises me to this day. I get tagged in posts. I get tagged in all kinds of like emails and things like that when people come to me and say, like, I did not realize what a large impact this was going to have on me, not just in how I run my business, but how I feel running my business. And that's the entire reason I created the course. So I'm very happy to hear that. Oh, okay. You know what? I see a couple questions. Brandon, I misspoke. I'm so sorry. It's not loom.us. It's loom.com. Thank you for telling me that I had it wrong. Okay. Yeah, loom.com. Sorry, y'all. Deb is asking, will you have another? The next Branding Bootcamp will be in October of 2023. I had in the past been running it twice a year. This program is so intense that I'm reducing it to running it once a year. So this will be the last time that this program is enrollable until October of 2023. So one spot left. If you are interested in talking about whether Branding Bootcamp would be good for you or how we could make it work for you, put a Branding Bootcamp down below and let me know. I'll reach out to you. I am going to close enrollment tonight so that we can focus on getting people settled in and that we're not scrambling at the last minute. Even if you're like, I just don't know if this is good for me, put Branding Bootcamp down below. Let's have a conversation. I do want to be clear. I don't accept everyone into the program. It's something that I want to make sure that it is a perfect fit for you. All right. Okay. So let's get to the recap because I love to put this all together. All right. So if you're enjoying this so far, hearts and thumbs, y'all. Hearts and thumbs. Okay. Let's do this. So okay. We got to clap because my VA is going to make the recap. And if I don't do this, then she doesn't know where to find it. Facebook groups are extremely popular in the piano and voice and music teacher world. And whether you are a member of groups or if you are an admin of groups, here are 4 tips that you can use to make your Facebook groups more organized, more user-friendly, and just a better community because that's what they're supposed to be for, right? Okay, let's look at tip number 1 is to use your featured posts for important information. These posts are going to pop up at the top of the group, and it's going to be a way that you can get the most important information to people first, right? So I'm going to give you a quick example of this. If this is going to, okay, there we go. Quick example of this is if you look at, I'm inside of a Facebook group right now. At the top of the discussion area, you'll see I have featured posts. So like I have my intro. This is the welcome post. Here is a post that says, here's what to expect. And then you can put all kinds of really good information here. And what I would encourage you to do is to make sure that you are updating that information frequently, that you are not keeping posts there that are from like 2019 and aren't relevant anymore. So just make sure that your featured posts are where they need to be. All right. The second tip, which good question. Second tip, I can't remember. Second tip is to use guides to organize the content in your group. So guides are a feature that people don't use quite frequently, and I just think that they are the coolest thing ever. It's a way to organize your content so that it comes in a specific order. So if you have a Facebook group that you've been running for your music studio, you might have guides that are on like practice units, how to access websites, resources that we commonly use. And it's just a really cool way to put things together. So I'll give you a quick screenshot of what the guides look like. So here's an example. We'll come into this one because I have so many. So here's an example of what our branding bootcamp from last year. Here is an example of what all the guides look like. So we have a welcome guide that gets people navigating the group and gives people an opportunity to introduce each other, introduce themselves. And then we have like a downloadable sections with all of these different links to files. And then each class was organized to have, here's all the information from the class, including the video, the chat file, all the assignments where you're getting feedback, etc. So then people could look back at this information time and time again, and they could, go through things in a logical order. So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3 is to ask good membership questions. If you are a part of a group or you're creating a group, maybe you're adminning, don't be afraid to turn people away. Not everybody's going to be a right fit for your group. And if you've ever been a part of a Facebook group situation where you kind of have some asshats in there and you'd like to prevent those people from getting in, ask better questions. So some of the questions that you might want to consider would be, give us information about how you are a piano teacher, whether it's a Facebook page or a website, etc. Vet those people. And then ask them, this is a very telling question. I like this one a lot. What do you hope to gain from joining the group? If it's somebody who's just going to show up and like spam your group with like, buy my thing, they might not answer that question. And then I want you to consider this permission to not let them in the group. So, so ask better questions. Tip number 4 is that this is kind of a neat little feature. You're actually able to add individual profiles for the groups that you're in. So if you want to add a little unique value proposition to your profile so that when somebody clicks on your profile inside of a group, you can do that. And it's so easy. I'll give you a quick tutorial of it. Here we go, super fast style. All right. So if you want to add information to your name and edit your group profile, the way you're going to do it is you're going to navigate to members. You're going to click on yourself. And then you have this opportunity to edit profile. And this is where you can add a little bio. Like I said, I support music studio owners to get savvy with their business. I do this through online courses, one-on-one coaching, and weekly broadcasts, right? Now you'll see off in the side here, there's a little intro. So people get that information, they can get that information about you. Now it doesn't look quite as cool on desktop, to be quite honest, but if you look at that feature on mobile, it's really, really neat. So I encourage you to, get creative with some of the profiles that you put out there. I'm going to be changing my group profiles this week so that people know how I can support them, right? Or how they can connect with me. All right. So that's all it for the tips today. Thanks so much for joining, everyone. We'll be back with more savvy tips for you next week. And if you do want to get a hold of the notes that I just sent you here or anything that I've talked about today, you can drop a tip down below and the Savvy Sarah bot will reach out to you via DM and get you all the goods and give you information about how you can join our email list, how you can get notifications for future broadcasts and recaps and all of that good stuff. So Thanks for being here. Thanks for taking time out of your day to spend a little time with me. And I hope that you all enjoyed this. I will be back next week. And in the meantime, stay savvy and stay you, because you are an amazing music teacher. And there's no one in the world who's quite like you. And I think you are pretty dang awesome. Thanks for being here, everybody. Outro music. Woohoo!